You know, it's almost like your birthday with a package from China, so let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video we are going to take a close look at the Pandora's DX Special Edition, the brand new version from the official Pandora's box store. But there are a lot of versions out there, and this version we're just going to take a close look at the main board. They also sell it sometimes like in game console. Okay, well, what are we going to get? So actually this is like the main board. You can order it like separately, or you can get it with extra controls. But take consideration what kind of controls you want, because a lot of different versions with wireless, wired. But we're also going to do a chit chat about the controllers. What kind of qualities do we have when it comes to these things? And of course, but first let's take a close look at the main board itself and what it is capable of. Alright, the controllers, the HDMI cable that comes with it, and of course the 12-volt power supply. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Pandora Jungle. I also ordered myself an extra cable harness, also easy if you want to get this thing inside an arcade machine. We're going to get the main board itself with the logo Pandora's, or Pandora Box DX Special Edition, so you know it's the official one. And of course the deluxe edition toilet paper manual. But there is something going on with the manual that I want to take a close look at with you first. Okay, so it seems to be like they are reusing this. So I will give you a great example. This thing runs on a quad-core Cortex A7, 1.3 GHz. But we're flipping the page, it says here 1.5 GHz. You know, like stuff like that happens all the time. Over here, so this is like the diagram of the pins of the main board, how you need to connect it if you want to put it in an arcade machine, or you make yourself in Pandora's box. Explanation about the quick load, quick save, and all the stuff you can do with it. And so far I understand that this thing also has the option to have save functionality for the high scores. And then here we're going to get the option which you can configure, because you can use a thing like a game system. You can also put it in an arcade machine, and you can do so much cool things. And you can even have 4-player configuration, but also there we're going to get some limitations. But let's take a close look at the main board itself and let's chit chat about it. Alright guys, so let's take a close look at the Pandora's box history. So the first one I've reviewed back in the day was the Pandora's box number 5 to 960 in the one. Not a lot of games, not even thousands of them, and take consideration this thing was flawed and had a lot of issues. You needed a USB thumb drive to add the games, and and I mean like adding the games that were like configured with the box. You couldn't add new games to it. Like, it was a big mess in my opinion, screen tearing, a lot of stuff going on that was not great. Then we had the Pandora's box number 6. The Pandora's box number 6 was a big improvement. We had so much new options. We could add games, didn't have like the same bullshit with the Pandora's box 5. Has PlayStation 1 support, but it has so many issues. Still screen tearing, and not to forget PlayStation 1 was one big gigantic mess. So when it comes to the Pandora's box DX, the previous models was not a very long time ago. So this box itself, they did some, let's say, minor adjustments. To begin with, like, if you're looking at the main board itself, they started with the nonsense that having not an active cooling fan. Look at this tiny cooling block. Like, that was the thing that I really hate about it. And not to forget, like, we had some new options. They fixed a lot of issues that we have with the number 6. Still had some screen tearing stuff going on, and there was like some minor flaws. But the only thing I really complained about, like, they didn't even fix the issues of, let's say, the preview videos. So this was basically the Pandora's box DX that came next to the Pandora's box 6. But the weird thing is, what I don't get is what happened to the number 7. Yeah, seriously, like such a weird situation. Okay guys, so the old models can still be found if you deep dive into AliExpress. Maybe on some other pages you can still find the 5 and 6, but these two are like completely a waste if you buy them. Or you need to buy them super cheap, like a couple of dollars. I would say, hey, it's still cool for two-dimensional games, but they are like having a lot of problems, both of them. The DX was a big improvement, but I must say, like, with this model I was not like pleased with a lot of issues they didn't fix from the 6. But now we're having the Pandora's box DX Special Edition. The special, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, like, it's a new name. It has more like added new games or more games, but basically what they're doing, like repeating a lot of stuff, but we're going to talk about it later. So the main board itself, like the connections is like almost identical to the previous one. I think they're like identical, but the thing is, like, especially when it comes to cooling element, look how small it is. Like, look how small, and I'm not a big fan of it. I used it for a couple of hours, and this thing gets really hot, so I'm not a big fan of it. So I don't know why they are keep doing this. Like, look at the Pandora's box 6, look at how gigantic the cooling is, and the thing is, like, even if they're getting new technology, better chips, and they are not having like the same heat like the previous model, still slap a big fan on it because we need cooling, especially if we want to use this device for a super long time and for many years to come. But when you're looking at the specifications, in my opinion, it's a little bit of a bummer. They're not giving us like a special edition with a lot of better options. No, it's just like a minor upgrade. But when it comes to the specs of the main board, nah. In my opinion, it's more of the same, and it's going to be like a repeat all over again. But let's hook it up and let's see what we're going to get when you're using it like in game system. But first, let's talk about the controllers, also a very important thing. Ooh, they even have like the Pandora's Box logo on the cooling, by the way. Nice. Okay, so let's talk about the controllers. The controllers is something you really need to know. So here you can see like we're having the special edition. That's kind of interesting. We're having two controllers and we're going to get one connection over here. So it's quite interesting. It works like a charm. These things like the Yukon controllers work a lot of Pandora's boxes. And I find it quite interesting concept. Then we're going to get the cheap models like the USB versions. There's one controller, one connection. I can say like when you're going to get these, they are not the experience that you want to have because these things are like freaking awful. Then we're going to get the wireless edition. So the wireless edition you can see with it, that's like Super Console X's and other Pandora's box models. Like also same story. Chemical as it can be and cheap. They are slightly better, especially you can look at the joystick itself. It's not super bad. And then we're going to get the new generation of the PlayStation fake controllers, the PlayStation 2. They look almost identical to this one, but I can tell you like these are like slightly better. They play way better and the D-pad feels less sturdy. But there is something that is coming on the horizon and I like these controllers. I made a separate video about it combined with a Super Console X because these controllers are like supreme. I love them. Like they will be noticed from a driver perspective when you're looking at this. Like from, it's just going to be like an Xbox 360 controller, but it doesn't look like it at all. So this is like the high quality controller. This is a really good controller in my opinion. Nice D-pad. Like the joysticks are like this joystick you want to have. Like when it comes to the spring inside and the touch, the rubber, everything. I love these. The combination of the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3 hybrid because of the form factor. But these are like the best controls you can get. So take consideration if you want to get yourself a game system Pandora's box. Always try to think, get some good controllers. Otherwise it's pointless to buy one. Alright, so what I did is like plug it in. The controller will be recognized automatically by the system and we get ready to go. Take consideration if you want to use 4 controllers, you need to have a USB hub. That's something they will sell separately or you can get you one from a local store. For the complete game list I will put it on my second channel, The Wicked Brain Fart. There you can see what is the full game list of this device and is it any worth getting. Pandora's Box DX. The nightmare never over. Special edition. The battle is never over. Okie dokie, so the menu itself looks identical to the Pandora's Box DX. Yup, like exactly the same. The only difference is that we're going to get way more games. And I'm thinking, what kind of games? It's quite simple. It's going to be like the same stuff like MAME, Neo Geo, PlayStation 1 and now they added like NES, Super NES and Mega Drive, and that's the reason why they added more games. But take in consideration, like look at this, like how many double games, hack games, like it's filled with double games. And that's what they're doing like from the start back when they releasing these Pandora's boxes with more than, let's say, a couple of thousands of games. Oh boy. But okay, when pressing the start in the main menu, you're going to get this option. So the category system, it's an okay system. But what I do like most of it, if you want to play with 3 or 4 players, they made like a separate category about it. I think that is very cool. We're going to get the recent list so you can check which game you've played before. And of course you can search for your games. Alright, so when booting up into the settings, there is nothing changed here. For the people who have no idea what I mean with this, like when you go into the system settings or system configuration, you can change out some things. The same stuff that we've seen before. Quality optimization, we're just going to turn it off. Scan line option, stuff like that, but there is no aspiration. What I do like about it, here we're going to get the gamepad settings so we can change out how many players and how and when. So there are some minor adjustments over here, but then overall it's all the same stuff all over again. Game settings, same story, like adjust difficulty live, edit game list. You can remove games, you can just hide them if you want to. We can shut down the intro, that we're going to do absolutely because I really hate it. Then we're going to save and we go back to the main menu again. No aspect ratio. But aspect ratio, everybody wants to have it. So if you don't want to add some new software to it and just want to use your television in my case, let's go to the menu itself. Let's go all the way back to the mode. Here we're going to find the format and we're just going to put it over here in 4:3 aspect ratio. See, is it so hard to do? Huh? Aspect ratio Pandora's box, that's what we're searching for all these freaking years now. And if you have a television, you can just do it like that. Easy peasy. This device needs to be had a quick load, quick save function, but seems to be like they didn't fix the issue. So with Pandora's box DX, I'm saying it correctly, it's like they had a quick load, quick save option, but it doesn't work for every single MAME game. Yep, and they still didn't fix it. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to try out is the Mortal Kombat game. They did mess it up with the Pandora's box DX, the first edition. It was more like an issue with the emulator, they chose the wrong emulator for the game. But Mortal Kombat 1 is, let's say, the single game that is very demanding. Because games like Killer Instinct doesn't even run on this box. So that's the thing, like what I really hate about this. If they like try to at least manage to get some better specs so we can play the games that we really want to play. Because I know like a lot of people really enjoy some Killer Instinct on Pandora's box. So one other thing I wanted to check out, so when you're looking at the previews, I can say that they didn't learn from the mistakes in the previous model. So when you're looking at this Mortal Kombat 2, I know a good friend of mine did even fix it himself. And yeah, they didn't even bother like fixing it in the DX or in this model. So they just don't give a shit or something like that. Like they're just slapping the same crap on it, like with the same mistakes, and they don't fix it at all. And see, the reason I boot up this game with the previous model, like the Pandora's box 6, they didn't add the audio. They completely like messed it up. And again, 2 versions later, they didn't fix it. Like, why? But we can't have like a save slot. Let's save it. Let's see if this seems to be working. But they did fix this issue with the first edition of DX. Like it was super slow, and they managed to fix that. So here and there, like they might do minor fixes, but like, how difficult is to add the freaking audio to this? Yeah, try to hit me now, Paul. Try to hit me now. So, when you're looking at the DX special, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Like, they didn't improve a lot of things. They still left a lot of errors what they had with the old model in. It's such a big disappointment. So if you're having a TV, you can put it on the right aspect ratio. The gameplay itself, especially with the old games, is just okay. But what I do like personally is like they filled this thing up completely with all kinds of weird hack games. So that is quite naughty, but also kind of cool in my opinion. Look at this, what the hell.